Could the Vikings be trading for linebacker Patrick Queen? A member of the 33rd team actually suggested that the Vikings would be an ideal fit for the Baltimore Ravens linebacker. And then the Vikings just finished up their first preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm giving you guys 5 takeaways that I had. And hey, a lot of it is around the undrafted linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. as he turned some heads during the Seahawks preseason game. My name is Patrick Siepman. Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. And before we dive into this, guys, join the Vikings Now family and hit that subscribe button. It's a complete free way to help us out here at Chat Sports. If you guys just want to stay informed on the latest news and rumors around the Vikings, the season's just around the corner. We're ramping up our coverage here on Vikings Now, so hit that subscribe button, lock us in. Complete free way to help us out, and plus, hey, it makes me look good for my bosses as well. Well, let's talk about the Vikings possibly trading for Patrick Queen, and then we'll get into some takeaways from the first preseason game. You know, obviously the Vikings do have a need at the linebacker position, and maybe a guy like Patrick Queen could fill that need. This is actually what Jeff Diamond said about a possible trade for the Minnesota Vikings. He said the Minnesota Vikings are an interesting option. Queen would stay in a 3-4 defense and upgrade the Vikings linebacker corps for last year's 31st ranked defense. He's 7 years younger and a better player than Jordan Hicks. And I agree, he's definitely a better player than Jordan Hicks. But I don't even know if at this point if he's better than Ivan Pace Jr., the UDFA out of Cincinnati. I love Ivan Pace, and he absolutely hooped yesterday or 2 days ago when you're seeing this in the Vikings' first preseason game. So overall, I think I'm good on Patrick Queen. Listen, I understand he's a tremendous football player, first-round talent, but I just think if the Vikings are going to kind of consolidate some assets, I would rather go elsewhere. I wouldn't want to go to the linebacker position because it's probably going to take a second-round pick to go get a guy like Patrick Queen. So I'd probably stay away from Patrick Queen. Maybe it's a third or a fourth. Yes, I'd be all in. Because again, could you imagine that linebacker trio of Ivan Pace, Brian Asamoah, and Patrick Queen? I would be all in for it. But I think if I was the Vikings coaching staff and I was the GM Kwesi, I would let Ivan Pace and Brian Asamoah man that linebacker group for the whole year. So I'm good on Patrick Queen, but maybe for a third or fourth, I'd be more interested. Now let's dive into some takeaways from the first preseason game versus Seattle Seahawks. The Vikings did end up losing the game 24-13. It was actually funny. I gave a score prediction early on in the week, and I said the Vikings would win 24-13. So I just had it flipped around. But the Vikings got up early. They got up to a 10-0 lead quickly in the game, and it was really on the back of Nick Mullens. I thought he looked really solid overall. He went 14-20 for 136 yards and a score. He was throwing a lot of that to Jalen Reagor, who had a tremendous first half, 55 yards for him. And then Drew Lock for the Seattle Seahawks. I actually thought he looked pretty solid. He had a really bad throw that led to that interception, but 17-24, 191 yards for him last night. He really had that Seahawks offense cooking, especially in that second and third quarter. But my number one takeaway, let's start off with the running back, Ty Chandler. I've been pounding this table that Ty Chandler should be RB2 for the Minnesota Vikings in this upcoming season. Honestly, after last night, I can make an argument he should be running back 1 heading into the year. I do think it's going to be Alexander Mattison getting the first team reps early on in the year. No doubt. 100%, he will get the first team reps and he will get majority of the carries. But then if we're talking maybe if we get into late October, November, December, and we really see Ty Chandler get make the most of his limited reps that he's going to get, I'd rather have him be RB1. I just think he adds a little bit more explosiveness, and he's a little more shifty than Madison. And maybe Madison and Chandler could have a little thunder and lightning going on. And then if we're talking about Kene Nwangwu, I think he's a tremendous athlete. He's super explosive. Obviously, he's one of the best kick returners in the league. I would use him more as a gadget guy. Get him some halfback screens, some touch passes. But overall, just pure running backs, give me Ty Chandler, Alexander Mattison. I want that to be bare minimum split carries after maybe the first month of the season. Now, my second takeaway from the first preseason game, Nick Mullens. He actually impressed me during the game. Overall, I think that we're talking about QB2s and what you want from your backup quarterback. You obviously don't, listen, if you lose your starting quarterback in the NFL, your season's most likely going down the drain. But if, let's just say, Kirk has to miss 2-3 games or maybe even just a game, I actually feel confident in a guy like Nick Mullens stepping in and just executing the game plan. Obviously, Mullens is not going to go win you a game. We know that about him. But if the rest of the team plays well and he can just kind of run the offense and execute, certain plays and key third downs, I actually think Mullens could be a guy that could go steal you a game. If Cousins were to have to miss one and Mullens would have to fill in, Honestly, I would probably say Nick Mullens would be a very solid option to fill in. I think he's trying to turn himself into one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, and he impressed me yesterday. But I'll ask you guys, who impressed you the most from the first preseason game? I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, don't worry. Answer today's pinned comment of who impressed you the most from the first preseason game. My third takeaway is Andrew Booth. Is he on the hot seat a little bit? Because it was weird. He actually did not play in the first half. And then when he did get into the game in the second half, he struggled. He gave up a touchdown on a little wheel fade route on the left side of the field, and he got absolutely burned. It was a walk-in touchdown for the Seahawks. And when the Vikings released their first unofficial depth chart, they did have Booth at cornerback too, but I think that's wide open right now. And somebody who impressed me yesterday was Joejuan Williams, the former second-round pick out of New England in the 2019 draft. I thought Joejuan played extremely well. He had a sweet pass breakup when a receiver is running like this deep over route, and he was in the back right of the end zone. And Joejuan, he was beat by a step, but due to a 6'2 frame, he was able to catch up to him and have a sweet pass breakup. So he's the guy to keep your eyes on for that cornerback 2, cornerback 3 look. Then also our third-round rookie, Mekhi Blackman. He had a sweet pass breakup as well. They tested him on a fade route. He ran step for step with the wide receiver for Seattle, and he had a sweet play on that as well. So Booth, he didn't do much yesterday, and he had 2 guys behind him on the depth chart play well. So I think he is a little bit on the hot seat, but again, it was the first preseason game, so you don't want to make too much out of it, but maybe Booth might be out of this cornerback rotation for week 1. Number 4 for me is all about the UDFA. I teased him at the start of the video, Ivan Pace. And just frankly, he might start week 1. Like, I listen, he's been getting a lot of reps with the first teams at practice, and a lot of people have been saying, it's still going to probably go to Jordan Hicks. But, like, really, I think he's got an outside chance to start. He looked fantastic yesterday. He's explosive. He hits hard. He's extremely, extremely fast. I know the question about his size and everything. Honestly, I think that helps him. I think he's got a lower center of gravity where it helps him move just maybe a little quicker than if he would if he was 6'2", and he lived up to the hype. Like he was getting all the first team reps at training camp. So I was very excited to watch him play. Listen, he's a UDFA. 1, people are shocked that he went undrafted, and 2, people are shocked that he was already getting first team reps. Peter Schrager actually put out a article saying top 10 guys he's interested to watch in the preseason. He had Ivan Pace at 5 on this list. So I think Pace, he lived up to his height, and I really do think he has an outside chance to start week 1 next to Brian Asamoah instead of Jordan Hicks. Unlikely still, but don't be shocked at all if maybe at the end of the season it truly is the Brian Asamoah and the Ivan Pace show at that linebacker spot for the Vikings. And my 5th takeaway, overall, just the defense still feels different from what it was last season. Obviously with Brian Flores coming in, replacing Ed Donatel, totally different defensive schemes. Donatel was kind of, I'm going to sit back, play that soft zone coverage, and kind of just let the offense kind of pick and choose their way up and down the field. Or Brian Flores was absolutely different. He was sending guys left and right, different types of blitz packages, and I just loved it. There was just an overall different feel for this group last night. Playing a lot more aggressive, which I love to see. I think in the modern-day NFL, you got to be aggressive on the defensive side of the field. And Ed Donatel was a complete opposite of that. And now with Brian Flores in there, extremely, extremely fun to watch this defense play. And just seeing guys like Lewis Cine, all over the field. Like, that's what I love about Flores is that all 11 guys on the defense could blitz whenever. Like, whether you're playing, the wide side corner, nickel corner, whatever it may be, safety, like, you have a chance to blitz on the play, and I think he's just going to keep other teams' offenses on their toes. So the defense, even though they did give up 24 points, and Drew Lock kind of shelled them, or kind of, worked his way up and down the field, there was some growing pains, but overall, I thought the defense felt very different. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's show. If you guys haven't already, Coop, I love it. Producer Coop giving me the skull chant in the producer cam right now. If you are subscribed, give me a skull down in the comments section. Lock us in. The season's almost here. I already have that football juice going here in the Chat Sports Studios. So lock us in. Hit that subscribe button. Skull Vikes.